Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports, and the Six Nations is here. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been patiently waiting, and the international season, the first international season of, well, first sort of part of the international season is about to get underway this weekend as the Six Nations does return. And what are Six Nations set to be? You know, can France go back to back? How will England respond to a new coach in Steve Borthwick? Also a new coach for Wales, and one of the sides we're talking about today. We're going to be doing a preview as Wales host Ireland in the Six Nations opener. And it's a World Cup year, which means the Six Nations is going to be more interesting than ever in terms of how much do you want to win the tournament versus how much are you building towards the World Cup? What are your sort of objectives? What are your goals? And what are you really looking to try and get out of the next sort of about 3 months of international rugby? Before we look at the two sides we're going to be talking about today, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Now, it's a new start for Wales, but it's an old man coming back, not in terms of his age, although he's not young these days, but a well-known coach for Wales, Warren GATLAND, once again at the helm of the men from Wales. And I mean, what a coach he's been for them. You know, they're probably their best coach ever, especially in the modern era. They've had some phenomenal times on them. Won Grand Slams under him. You know, this tournament was at one stage almost sort of Wales' tournament under Gatland. They had done so well. And you know, after a couple of years without him, I don't think that, you know, Wales has always been a frustrating side, and I thought that Wayne Pivac, you know, did a reasonable job, and Wales continued to be competitive, but just couldn't quite do and emulate sort of the stuff that we saw under Warren Gatland, where they were a side that was very tough to beat. And they were taking on the #1 team in the world in Ireland, and this Irish side is looking deadly. It's looking at one of the favourites going to the World Cup, and I'll be interested to see how well can they start, and you know, are they going to go and win the Six Nations? They lost out to France last year. Can they go and win the Six Nations, sort of build the momentum going into the World Cup towards the end of the year? In terms of the two teams, we'll start with Wales, and this is how Warren Gatland is going to line them up. And there's a change in captain. Ken Owens will captain the side in the front row. He's got Gareth Thomas and Thomas Francis on either side of him in that front row. Plenty of experience in behind that front row in the tight five. Alan Jones does start. He's next to Alan Beard. Alan Jones continuing to just notch up cap after cap after cap. And I think, you know, this is probably a good indication that we are going to see him in the World Cup, which is going to be absolutely mental. But at the end of the day, if he continues to do the job, if he continues to perform as Warren Gatland like him to, why not keep picking him? You know, he's one of the best players of the modern era in terms of consistency, longevity, and he's a really, really important part of this Welsh side. And, you know, I think taking away the captaincy is probably a good idea. You know, I think, you know, he's still going to have that leadership quality, but let him really sort of focus in on his playing. And it's an exciting news trio. Jack Morgan, Justin Tipuric, and Taipa Faletau. Faletau, one of the best #8s in the world. And I think Tipuric is regaining his form very quickly. You know, we were waiting to see, you know, how good he was going to be after his injury, and I think the last couple of months have shown that he's very quickly got himself back to his best. One of my favourite players to watch when he's playing well, so very keen to see how he goes. Thomas Williams, part of Dan Bigger, returns to the Welsh side. Wasn't involved in the Autumn Nations series at the end of last year, but is back. And also interesting that, you know, he probably would have been a candidate for captain. You then the rest of the backline: Rio Dyer, Josh Adams, Liam Williams. Lee Halfpenny was in fact named in the starting 15, but it was ruled out due to a back spasm during training. As a result, Liam Williams will start in the centre. Joe Hawkins partners George North, who continues in that number 13 despite a change of coach. The plan remains the same. Off the bench will be Scott Baldwin, Reece Kerr, Dylan Lewis, Daphs Jenkins, Tommy Riffle, who was so good against South Africa last year. Very exciting young flank there. Then Reece Webb, Owen Williams, and Alex Cuthbert. For the men from Ireland, a couple of big calls being made by Andy Farrell. First of all, no Tyke Furlong. It was sort of a bit of touch and go to see whether he was going to be fit. He is ruled out. As a result, Finlay Bealham does get an opportunity. And, yeah, I mean, Tyke Furlong probably arguably the best tight head in the world alongside the likes of maybe a France Malherbe. But Finlay Bealham, no slouch. Andrew Porter, Dan Sheehan in that front row. It's a very good front row. Dan Sheehan has taken to international rugby so well and just looks like I mean, he looks like a 30-40 cap veteran when he plays. Really good player there. Then got Tyburn, James Wright. Tyburn, you know, could be playing quite a few positions in that pack. So interesting to see that they have kept him at lock. I think he's absolutely world class. Very consistent performer. You then got Peter O'Mahony, Josh van der Fleer, and Caelan Doris. Caelan Doris, a lot of people sort of talking about the fact that he could be one of the sort of the 4, if not one of the best #8s in the world this year. So very interesting to sort of see how he'll go in the Six Nations. Josh van der Fleer, World Player of the Year. Peter O'Mahony, the war hero, you know, sort of type figure that continues to just sort of put in some pretty epic performances. And, you know, people talking about the fact that, you know, with the new line-out rules about not being able to sort of have conversations, have those sort of like almost like, you know, pre-chat-head line-outs, that he's going to become very important for his really good line-out work. You then got Jamison Gibson Park partnering Captain Johnny Sexton, who is fully fit despite that cheek injury he did have last month. You then got James Lowe, Matt Hansen, Hugo Keenan in a pretty terrific back three. Stuart McCloskey does get the nod ahead of Bundy Aki. He's next to Gary Ringrose. Then off the bench, you've got Rob Herring, Ken Healy, Tom O'Toole gets an opportunity. Ian Henderson, Jack Conan, Conor Murray, Ross Byrne, Bundy Aki. I mean, there's British and Irish Lions all over that bench and a lot of test caps. So it's plenty of quality there. It should be a very interesting game. You know, obviously Ireland go in as favourites, and not too many people really backing Wales to get the job done. But Wales are at home. They'll have a good crowd. They'll be very sort of they'll be wanting to make a point for Warren Gatland. You know, they want to be really starting well. It's all about, for a lot of these players, it's all about getting yourself into World Cup contention, isn't it? It's about showing the gaffer how important you are to the side. So hopefully we'll see a couple of Welsh players really sort of stand up. We will be live for this game, so do come and join us throughout the weekend for a bit of URC, but mostly Six Nations coverage, as all the sort of the club competitions do sort of come to a bit of a pause whilst we do focus in on international rugby. Please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Stephen, and I'll chat to you soon.